Hello everyone!
Oh!
This is our Arturelia gaming room discussion. Today we're going to talk about our childhood games.
Childhood video games that we played as a child.
Pretty much.
So pretty much from the ages of
what, 9?
4 to
probably
12,
I think 12.
13.
That's probably where I would
Bada bing, bada boom.
Probably around 12 would be like the last time.
Yeah.
Until we reach the teenage years. So,
young adolescent themes.
We should get started. So, do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first? Because most of the games do you have Frontline?
I say we'll just go back and forth, back and forth.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with some of the earlier stuff that I began. You know what? Let me just...
You actually started with the older stuff before I got into them.
I started with the Nintendo Entertainment System, which came out in '85, right here in this basement. That's where I was playing it. The basement looked a little different.
Back then, yeah.
Not as many games. It was like a handful of games. An NES system, a TV, and a 4-year-old little toddler who pooped in his pants. And played Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt. This was the first game I ever played, pretty sure. I'd be down here in the basement playing it, and this is what really got me into games, pretty much. I thought this was brand new at the time. I didn't know, like, the newest thing was, I guess, a 64 at that time. I thought this was brand new. I didn't know.
We had no idea because I remember you. Let's see, what year did you play that? 98, 97,
probably.
Because
98,
I was 4 when I started playing these games, like back in '99, the year my sister was born. And yeah, I remember my dad would bring the N64 over, but he wouldn't let me play it. He just gave me the NES and the S.
He just let you look at it. Look, but don't touch.
I mean, if you look at a video, if you look at one of the home videos, you see him carrying an N64 from 1990.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And here's another game that I played. I played what do we play? I know I played RC Pro-Am.
That's one I played as well. I don't...
Duck Hunt, TNC Surf Design. But here's another one of my favorites I played as a kid. Batman. And let me tell you, I was terrible at this game. I mean, terrible. Terrible. I didn't know what was going on, but, you know, I was Batman, so I thought it was kind of cool. And
I never played that as a kid.
Mario Brothers 3. I remember, I don't know if I had this one, but I remember my mom bringing this home one day and played a lot of it, so...
old classics. Well, where to begin? Well, most of these, like I said, I played in '99. RC Pro-Am, Mario and Duck Hunt, and Super Mario World, actually. This would be, like, my #1 favorite game of all time, because I played this first, and then later in the early 2000s, I think Kathy, yes, my grandma, brought home an SNES, this, and a Mickey Mouse Magical Quest 2. Those are my childhood games.
Adventures of Batman and Robin, which you do not have.
That was back in '99 when Dad brought home both the old and Super Nintendo. Yeah, I remember playing that, and I remember I was beating these guys, and then there was this big clown robot that I would face. Yeah, that was awesome.
It's kind of a rare game now.
Yeah, and it's mega expensive.
Yeah, it's about $7
and then my dad sold all that, which is very sad.
But nobody knew back then games would skyrocket.
Oh, yeah. Woo. And let's see, in 2001, now the first time I played Lego Racers, this is another hit, like of my childhood.
I played this too as a kid. So
when did you play it? Actually, I'm curious to know. I just remember this hit me a lot more. Yeah, well, but what year? I mean, it came out in '99. Well, in 2001,
late
I was playing it on the PC. That's my memory of it. I always loved to play Lego Racers. And then my mom would come and sit down and play it with me. She says that this is her favorite game. I mean, it's fun. I like Legos. Yeah, and I always remember that music. I always loved it. It always impacted me every time I thought about it. It was nice. And then one day, my dad brought home... Well, actually, this was crazy, Corey. He brought these two, and I played them for the N64, but he had a bag full of NES and more 64 games. Even have you heard of Quest?
He's like Santa Claus.
Yeah, have you heard of Quest 64?
Yes.
Okay, I played. That was the one I was playing before.
Oh, I heard that's terrible.
I heard it was terrible, but I don't know. I mean, it's a childhood memory for me.
I don't have it.
And then he brought these, and I just played the heck out of them. I played more of this than I did with this. But yeah, these are my childhood
Alright,
memories.
let me go to this 64 kid. Let me show you some of my 64 memories.
Oh, I forgot.
Now the 64 was the first new system I owned. It was the first one, like, you know, we bought. It was new. I got the one with the purple controller. Start off with some. This is a very underrated racing game. Hot Wheels Racing. Probably not a lot of you have heard about this, but you can play as a Hot Wheels car on Hot Wheels tracks, and you're running all over the place. And you can do flips for points, and it's crazy. All the, you know, a lot of the famous Hot Wheels cars that you know and love today. Now, an underrated Rare game. Yes, we all know Rare. They make GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie, Perfect Dark,
Oh, I didn't know.
Donkey Kong 64. One of their more underrated ones. Mickey Speedway USA. This is a fun racing game. It's like Mario Kart, but you could actually drift in this game. I don't think you could do that in that Mario.
You can do drift.
You can?
Yeah, you can.
Well, this one, the controls are
all-
pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of y'all might know this one. Pokemon Snap.
Which I did
Now,
have. But
This is a very simple game. It's a very simple, there's not story to it, but you're pretty much a tourist, what it feels like, trying to find rare exotic Pokemon. The fun of it is finding them, really. Okay, I never had Sarge's Heroes 1, but I did have Sarge's Heroes 2. That is DOS!
And I didn't play that until like 2010. I know.
You were busy playing 1, I was playing 2, and
Yeah.
then we met in the middle. And Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, pretty fun pod racer, like the movie. Anakin, Sebulba, bada bing, bada boom. And let me, ooh, I skipped one I should have said before.
Oh, yeah, and I'm actually missing one here too.
It's okay. Alright, Diddy Kong Racing. Everybody else was playing Mario Kart 64, I was playing Diddy Kong Racing. And yes, this did have a story mode, which was kind of different.
Really?
Yes, and you could be like airplanes and in like water things.
Which now Sonic All-Star has that.
Now,
And Mario Kart.
Here is the most underrated game of all time. My favorite, at least for the system, and maybe of all time. This is Winback for the Nintendo 64.
I've now
The closest thing to Metal Gear Solid for your Nintendo 64. The controls are great, you know.
Which I will note, they did make a PS2 version, which has like voice acting stuff. I mean, it looks the same to me, but my cousin here says he has an issue with the controls.
I mean, it's just, I don't know, the original one's better. It just is, something about it. And yeah, I can go back and beat that game today and play it. I still have fun with it.
I'm really slow.
And that's my N64 story. You want to throw down
Well,
something else?
in 2007, which would be like 10 years after this, really late, my dad brought home the N64 the day that my mom and my uncle Timothy surprised my grandparents. It's the day he brought it home, and I never forgot the day, but he brought the N64, he brought Mario 64, he brought Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, and Star Wars Shadow of the Empire, which I both played a lot.
Kill.
And this
Kill.
is definitely my
I have that game.
childhood memory. Yeah, I know, I forgot to pull that out. But yeah, those two are my childhood memory. And I know a lot of people either don't like the Star Wars Shadow of the Empire, but I don't think it was that bad. Now, I remember playing this the year it came out, actually.
Do you know?
Yeah.
That's very good at Clancy. Call it Diddy to
Because-
find a star, my boy.
Now, actually, Medal of Honor Frontlines was the first-person shooter I think I played. So even though we played both Medal of Honor, that's also a childhood memory because I remember coming over and we would go in our room and play that game and all that.
There is one of the favorite games of our childhood.
basically.
Yeah, we played this in upstairs.
But
room,
it's funny.
PS1.
I was playing Frontlines first, and I will say, the craziest thing of my childhood about that game was like their eyes skewed me out, like they would never blink. I know it was scary. And then when I played the second level,
The eyes. It's like they've been opened. They don't move. The bloody eyes.
and then when I played
They're
the
staring
second
at
level,
me. I don't.
when I played the second level, I was also scared to go any further inside the bunker.
My boy, you had a troubled childhood.
But not just that.
He was petrified.
And not just that. I was also thinking. I was asking my mom, "Hey, Mom, or Mommy, are we fighting these people today?" Yeah, I know.
Nothing like the 1940s and the 2002s.
And then later, a few years later, this. And a friend of my uncle Timothy
Friend of a
gave this
friend.
to me. So
Uncle
it was
Timmy.
it was a new type of gameplay a
Timbo.
little bit, but kind of slow. I mean, it was my childhood memory, yours too. But and then later, I remember that I think my uncles rented this one time.
Ooh,
And I
good
played it.
game. This is one of my childhood favorites.
This one, yeah.
Not as good as Frontlines though.
But it's still my childhood memory. Especially the one where you have to pretend you're a Nazi.
One of them Nazis.
Yeah, and that was my
Singapore
favorite.
Sling, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Good mission.
I remember like my sister used to play this with me. I mean, because you know,
Really?
yeah, she would play this with me, and I remember we would record these funny stories with the multiplayer mode, you know, and all that. And it did have an online feature, but I didn't play that as much. I think maybe there was no one on at the time. And I remember my Uncle Timothy playing this game, and I played this like, I've lost count, maybe 14 times, 15 times.
You beat it?
I beat it, yeah, a lot of times. I went back to the single player mode, changed his costume. I played it so many times you cannot possibly imagine. I mean, it was just a childhood thing for me, Batman Begins. And later, my Uncle Timothy got me, oh God, I scratched. Got me this, and I only played the second one. I never played the first one at all. And
Is that two?
Yeah, this is two. I never played the first one.
You haven't played it?
So I didn't know what was really going on, but I was like, back then I was like, I don't know. I mean, the first one had kind of like a sad ending, but this has like Pirates of the Caribbean and Lion King. You know. Oh, pirates!
I could enjoy that. While we're on the PS2, let me get my PS2 game knocked out of the way, because Frontlines is still on the shelf for some reason. Tekken Tag Tournament! Great fighting game with lots of characters, cool design. Tekken.
And I remember playing the old one too. The old one was also a childhood thing. And then I think in 2008, back like in 2007, I got into Inuyasha. If you guys probably do know that show, but if not, well, it's like an anime about this half demon. Think of Dante, I guess you could say. He's half demon. So is him. They look kind of the same. White hair, red uniform, kind of like that.
Inuyasha.
So back then, you know, Corey, I kid you not, I was so obsessed with that show.
Arturelia, brought to you by, I kid you not.
I was so obsessed with that show, and then I remember I would rent the books from the library, and then I saw this page of with this on one page.
Who's that?
I was like, you know,
Who's that? That's Inuyasha. He looked cool.
And then I was like, oh, is this a game? Oh, cool. And I would look up on YouTube and it's like,
Wait, no, that's not a TV show.
And I think this was about like $20. Yeah, $20. And I remember playing it and just having a blast with it. I mean, my childhood memory, definitely the anime, and that's what got me into anime to begin with. So now I'm into all this stuff.
Alright, let me stop there. Let me Now, let me go into some games. A couple games that are childhood favorites of mine, but I did not own them, but I do now. Alright.
You never played them?
No, I did play them.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh,
It's
okay.
another childhood favorites. I'm gonna get into the story of
Grazie.
Alright, first one here is Donkey Kong Country. Yes, one of the most classic Super Nintendo games of all time. One of the best Donkey Kong games. Now this, I did not own as a kid. I did not have a Super Nintendo as a kid. But the neighbors did.
Oh, so you played it?
They did. They had this. I'm pretty sure it was this one. It could have been Donkey Kong Country 2. I don't know. But we had that, Super Mario World, Spider-Man, Pilot Wings, a lot of good ones. I didn't play it much, but it always looked fun. It was and yeah, this was the same time. This was the same time I thought the Nintendo was brand new. Like I didn't know there was anything else. Thought that was it. There's one game system. That's it. Go over to the neighbors. He's like, I asked him, I'm like,
You got a Nintendo?
he said, no, but I got a Super Nintendo.
I said, what? What do you mean super?
So yeah, seriously, I didn't know it was a Super Nintendo. I don't know what the kid was talking about. I was like,
No, you mean Nintendo, right?
so no, dude, Super Nintendo. So I go down to the basement. I'm walking down a little basement, my little 5-year-old self, and lo and behold, I see this thing that looks kind of weird. Like it wasn't a box. Like it didn't look like a toaster. It looked like a different kind of game system, and he had different games, and I just didn't know what to do with myself. I saw Mario All-Stars, Mario World. He popped the thing in. It's got like 5 Mario games in one. Mario All-Stars with Super Mario World. Mario 1, 2, 3, the Lost Levels, and All-Stars.
Oh, cool.
And I just didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know there was that many Mario games, to be honest with you. So, that was a good time. And from that day on, yeah. Pretty much the base of that story. That's how I knew Super Nintendos existed. Even though it was probably like the year 2000, 2001, and they've been out since like 1991, before I was born.
Before any of us were
But-
born. Yeah.
I didn't know. Nobody told me. I got the hand-me-downs in this joint. And, but yeah. So that's a story of that. You know, I'd go over there and play it sometimes. But anyways, here's another story. We're verging off from Nintendo here, but here's one. Here we go. Everybody knows this one. Sony's mascot of that time, Crash Bandicoot. Now this guy, I didn't own a PS1 when I was a little kid, but the gym daycare had a PlayStation 1.
Really?
Really. And so yeah, it was in the corner, I remember, and the big game everybody wanted to play was Crash Bandicoot. But you had to take turns. Kids got hostile. They got violent
Gosh. Over a game.
over Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, this guy right here. This guy caused little kids to go crazy. I mean, but so yeah, I think we got like 15 minutes at a time or something like that. Everybody's huddled around. Woo! But it was fun. It was fun. So yeah, it's just a childhood memory, and now I own the game, so I can play it whenever I want. I don't have to play it 15-minute increments or wait for little kids to get done.
You know, I heard like kids, like people have said kids are like the most annoying like players on the internet, like Call of Duty. You know, they don't know what they're doing
anymore.
Yeah, back in 2008, I was really looking forward to Brawl, and my dad brought home Melee, and I was just playing this a lot. Back in special Melee, and then after my dentist appointment, we got
After his
Smash.
dentist appointment?
Yeah, after the dentist appointment, we got Smash.
You wanted to know.
Yes, and I mean, Sonic appeared and then Solid Snake appeared. That's when I was getting into Metal Gear.
Oh boy.
So basically, yeah, like, even though I was getting into it, playing Snake, I was getting into it even more. Smash. Just too bad he didn't come for the new one, but oh well. He still always remembered going into the Smash universe, coming from his universe to the Nintendo universe, along with Sonic.
Well,
From his universe.
if you want to think about it, Snake originally started in the Nintendo universe.
Yes, he did.
With these two. Metal Gear and Snake's Revenge. So he really did start with Nintendo.
Yeah,
For
so
everybody
that would
who
make
doesn't know that. Thinks he started for the PS1.
No, wrong. He also came out for Game Boy Color, I think, too. Yeah.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid was on the Game Boy Color. And, you know, Twin Snakes was on the Game Boy.
Yeah, which I want to get at some point.
It's kind of expensive.
It is really. Oh boy. I did find it at the store, like the game store in Raleigh. Anyway.
I mean, it's not extremely.
But yeah, I think those are the games that for my childhood.
I've got a couple.
But there were a couple. There were a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't all of them, of course, but this is just some of the bigger ones I remember. I got 2 more for you over here. Nothing special here. This one, Kirby's Dream Land. Now, that was, I believe, the first handheld game I played, first Game Boy game. It wasn't actually mine; it was Teresa's.
Oh well.
You know, Teresa had Kirby, our aunt. She got, or my aunt, but you know, we're all related. So yeah, she had Kirby's Dream Land, and it was pretty easy for a kid to play. You know, Kirby, pretty simple game. So it was something I could pick up and play. And now I have the box to it, which is kind of cool. And played it on the original Game Boy, and later on I got a Game Boy Color, and you know, it's a fun game. Fun game. And the last one is Sonic and Knuckles.
Yes, that.
Good game, great music. I used to play, my grandma got a Sega Genesis at a yard sale. She got this and an NBA game. I played those a lot. This one, I just always I love playing as Knuckles in here. It was pretty fun.
Yeah.
You know, I would just sit on the floor and play this. You know, stepped away from Nintendo and played a little Sega as a kid too.
Yeah, there's a story about my childhood memory of Sonic.
For those of you that don't know, you can hook on Sonic 2 and 3 on top of this and play as Knuckles.
Well, my childhood memory for Sonic would start on the computer because I remember my dad brought home a PC game, and it had both Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles. And the first one I would play was Sonic 3. So Sonic 3 was my childhood, while his was Sonic and Knuckles. Mine was Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, so both really my childhood memories. And I remember playing it all the time. You could, like, even one of these home videos, you could hear me upstairs getting the rings. Ding, 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 ding. So awesome. Yeah, I mean, that and the Lego Racers on the PC were my childhood memory for video games. And then there was also Superman and Batman Vengeance. Those I played a lot. And yeah, and also, I mean, I remember also watching my Uncle Timothy play games, even games I wasn't supposed to see. He played Final Fantasy X, Metal Gear, and other bits.
Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah, and that's another childhood memory, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I remember, like, I would come upstairs to do homeschool with my mom, and he would have that on, the Dreamcast. I would play with him for a bit before it was time for me to go do school with my mom. Those were the good days. The only thing I just can't remember him playing was, for some reason, Devil May Cry. That's blocked out. Except
Devil May Cry.
Yeah, except he would always say that to me, like Devil May Cry. And then my mom would be like, don't teach him that. Don't teach him that. Yeah, but I think that's pretty much it.
Pretty much all I got.
Yeah, unless there's something else we forget. But basically, if you have a game that you played back during the days, or even like as a kid, even though it wasn't new, but still, you know, I mean, Wii Sports would be one. That would be another childhood.
I was older, but sure.
But you know, I was 12. That would be considered my childhood memory. I just played a lot of stuff on the PS2, Wii, more PS2, and then the N64. Just epicness. That would I've now, like, grown up and all, like, more games come out, what would I think about it in the future? Probably not childhood memory, more like adult memory. That's pretty much it. But yeah, leave a comment about what game you used to play as a kid, and when maybe your last childhood game was. Basically, it was like some of these were like the last of my childhood until I turned 13. But then I was getting into Metal Gear and all that. getting into the teenage years. So my childhood memory was all about. Oh, Star Wars Force Unleashed was one. But yeah, I think that's all we have to say for today, folks. My cousin has just come around. I don't know what he's doing. I guess moving on towards 2000. Oh! Man down, man down.
Man overboard, man overboard. Man your positions, men, man your positions. All hands on deck, all hands on deck.